when Justin Trudeau was locked down wherever he was locked down, along with the rest of the political class. These people kept working, and they do not deserve that kind of attitude from a prime minister who wants to just wholesale endorse Black Lives Matter.
What a moment in Canadian history here at Parliament Hill. I love you, Canada! Yeah!
For decades, the international left has enjoined the workers of the world to unite. And now that they are uniting, leftist leaders are terrified, furious, and have even gone into hiding.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau plans a new vaccine crackdown. His government promises to implement an inter-province vaccine mandate. He is still avoiding the protest, claiming he is quarantining because of that positive COVID test. He also said this.
I have attended protests and rallies in the past when I agreed with the goals, when I supported the people expressing their concerns and their issues. Black Lives Matter is an excellent example of that. But I have also chosen to not go anywhere near protests that have expressed hateful rhetoric, violence towards fellow citizens.
This is the age-old elites taking on the people. This is the left, once again, showing utter disdain for average, everyday, hardworking people that keep the country going. I mean, we're used to it here in America. We're used to Biden talking about Neanderthal thinking and Hillary Clinton, deplorable, irredeemable, and CNN saying, you know, if you support Trump, you're a rube who can't locate a country on a map, or Peter Strzok, smelly Walmart shopper. We're used to this attitude. And it's so unfortunate because the people you're looking at the screen, yes, you point out there are outliers, Emily, sure, there are in any movement, but the people you're looking at on the screen are the people who kept the world going during COVID-19. They were essential workers. They kept driving their trucks, hardworking, good people. When Justin Trudeau was locked down wherever he was locked down, along with the rest of the political class, these people kept working, and they do not deserve that kind of attitude from a prime minister who wants to just wholesale endorse Black Lives Matter.
He says, I do not support violence. I do not support hateful rhetoric. I love BLM because they would never get violent, right? They would never burn a country down for 8 months. They would never spew just bile. They would never tear down a country's revered figures and statues and firebomb buildings and attack federal courthouses and kill dozens of people. They would never do that. Not BLM. That's why I support BLM. But some nice, generally polite Canadian truckers, them I cannot support. What Trudeau is showing us is something really basic about the way politics operates. Us versus them.
And the ironic thing is that they are calling people in this convoy fascist, that somehow this is fascism to be against the unfettered growth and power of the government. And they are the good guys. No, guys, you're the bad guys. You're the bad guys. If you are on the side of the totalitarians, of taking people's livelihoods away because they won't get a shot, that, again, doesn't stop infection or transmission. But even if it did, I don't think it should be mandated. If you are on that side, you're the bad guys, okay? I don't even think most people that are calling these people fascists could even tell you what fascism is if they tried. I think they just call everyone a fascist, everyone a racist, everyone a white supremacist that they disagree with.
All of a sudden, the morality clause here prevents a prime minister from meeting with an economic backbone aspect of his country to even hear what those truckers have to say, Jillian.
His job as the prime minister is not just to meet with constituent groups with whom he agrees. His job is, in fact, to hear input from all sides, all industrial bases, particularly here, knowing that during COVID, truckers have really become frontline workers. They've been risking their health and lives since day one of the pandemic. According to the Canadian Broadcasting Company, the reality of these protests is that they have remained nonviolent. According to the Canadians' own reporting on the ground of folks who were participating in this rally, it's kind of a false choice there that the Prime Minister set up. He easily could have met with the 90% contingency of folks, of the truckers who were there, that had legitimate complaints and were behaving, you know, within the bounds of the law.
Truckers spoke to reporters at the border about their decision to stand their ground. Let's watch that.
You said the police weren't willing to negotiate?
They were not willing to negotiate when we went down there to talk earlier. There was no negotiations allowed. They didn't want nothing to do with it. So we've read the charter that came in 2020. It says if we open a lane, we can stay here as long as we want. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to open up that lane, and anybody that wants to leave can leave, and anybody that wants to stay can stay. So this way, you know, it's all about freedom, right?
We have checks and balances in our system in a micro level, and sometimes we forfeit those. They have none. Yeah. It is a very passive society, so to see them rise up like this is counterculture for Canadians, but it is indicative to how far they've been pushed. Because they have been under that kind of a socialist structure for so long that finally, I think, we've never seen this in Canada. We've never seen this kind of, because there's been attempts to defend the church in Canada, to give the church freedom of speech, and it's a quick uprising for about a week and then it fizzles. I agree with you 100%. I have never, having lived there, seen this kind of a momentum where now they have to absolutely build political capital. The result from this should be new leaders, new voices, mechanisms, you know, down to podcasts, but instruments that can carry the momentum forward. Because they could, if they do this right for Canadians, alter the course of their country.
I think we've all had enough of this. We've all had enough. We're pretty much done. Shout out to the truckers. Hey, without you guys, things are not going to be able to operate properly. The supply chain, which is already fragile, is already pretty much hanging by a thread, is going to be in total shambles. You want to go to the grocery store, get some chicken, beef, toilet paper, whatever you want, it ain't going to be there if you can't get products from point A to point B, and we need truckers for that. So hopefully Trudeau, who now has the bug himself after getting vaxxed and boosted and masked and shielded and all that kind of good stuff, hopefully he comes to his senses and strikes down these mandates and restrictions and lockdowns, because it's not helping. It's doing much more harm. And actually about to say more harm than good, but all I see is harm. I don't see the good that it's doing. I don't see anything else other than negativity coming from this.